My ex-wife wanted me to finance her new husband's business, so I gave her a surprise. My name's Kyle. I'm 32. And let's just say I've learned the hard way that you can't trust anyone with your heart or your money. I used to be married to Laura. You know, the type of girl who smiles like she's got a halo and a secret stash of receipts for every bad decision she's ever made. I thought she was the one because, well, she knew how to play the part. At first, it was all love letters and cozy Netflix nights. But then reality hit harder than a 2x4 to the face. She was a gold-digging drama queen who could win an Oscar for Best Manipulator of the Year. When she dumped me for some random businessman named Dave, who, by the way, looked like he'd never seen a gym in his life, I wasn't exactly heartbroken. More like annoyed. I was pissed, sure, but I figured, whatever. Moving on. And I did. Like any rational person would. I got into a routine. Gym, work, grab a drink, repeat. Life wasn't perfect, but it was a hell of a lot better without her crazy ass. Fast forward 2 months, and guess who shows up at my door? Yeah, that's right. Laura. Looking like a hot mess, but still clinging to the one thing she was good at. Being needy. Her hair was all over the place, eyes red like she'd been crying since the last season of Grey's Anatomy ended. And she had the nerve to stand there and act like nothing ever happened between us. Like I wasn't the guy who had to pick up the pieces after her emotional hurricane tore through our lives. But now, she had a new play. Dave. Yeah, that same loser she traded me for. And now, she wanted me to fund his little business venture. I stared at her, waiting for her to burst out laughing. There was no way she was serious, right? I mean, this was classic Laura. Just another one of her half-baked ideas to reel me back in. But no, her face stayed serious, like she actually thought I was gonna throw money at this idiot's startup. Come on, Kyle, she said, her voice all sweet and sugary, like she was offering me a puppy. Dave has this amazing idea, and he's really gonna change the world with it, but he needs some startup capital. And we both know you're in a position to help out. I almost choked on my drink. Wait, I said, trying not to laugh in her face. You want me to fund Dave's dream? The guy who can't even keep his hair from looking like a wet mop? Seriously? But she wasn't joking. Not even close. I saw the desperation in her eyes, like she was trying to sell me a half-baked scheme with a smile. So, I did what any self-respecting guy would do. I decided to give her a little surprise. Oh, this wasn't just gonna be a handout. Nope. She wanted me involved? I was about to make sure she regretted it. Big time. And trust me, this surprise was gonna be something she'd never forget. Laura sat across from me at this ridiculous cafe. The kind that serves overpriced coffee in cups that could double as a small dog's water bowl. You know the type. Artsy walls with abstract nonsense that costs more than my rent, and people trying so hard to look cultured that they end up looking like they're auditioning for a role in a soap opera. She was decked out in a tight dress that was clearly trying to compete with a teenage Instagram model's wardrobe. The dress was way too young for her, and honestly, it screamed desperation louder than her high-pitched laugh when she used to think I'd buy into her bullshit. But here we were, me and Laura, sitting in some overpriced hipster hellhole, and I was about to get an offer I couldn't refuse. But I would refuse it anyway, just to mess with her. She was acting like everything was normal, like we hadn't been married for years, then divorced because she decided Dave, that new business genius, was somehow better than me. Yeah, okay, Laura. Keep telling yourself that, as if this Dave guy, who looked like a guy who'd never been in a gym, was some entrepreneurial god. She started going off about him like he was the next Elon Musk, talking about his innovative business idea that was going to change the game. She kept saying things like, "He's got vision, Kyle. Big vision, like world-changing stuff. The kind of stuff you only see once in a lifetime." Yeah, sure, Laura. That's what they all say. If I had $1 for every time someone said that about a failing startup, I'd be swimming in cash like Scrooge McDuck. But then came the bombshell. You could almost hear the dramatic music playing in the background as she dropped it. "Kyle," she said, giving me those big, fake puppy dog eyes. You know the ones that used to work on me every single time. "I know we haven't really kept in touch much, but Dave's got this amazing idea for a business. And We're kinda struggling with the startup costs. I blinked, trying not to laugh in her face. Wait, hold up. Are you seriously asking me for money right now? I gave her my best "are you for real" look. She paused for a second, trying to look all innocent, like this wasn't the most insane thing anyone had ever asked me. Then came the classic Laura move. She leaned in, all dramatic, and said, I was hoping you could help us out just a little. Like, just a loan or something. It's no big deal. I stared at her, letting the ridiculousness of the moment sink in. She was asking me, to fund her new husband's doomed business. The guy who probably Googled how to start a business 2 days ago. Yeah, no. I couldn't hold it in anymore. You want me to give you money for Dave's failing dreams? I shook my head. Oh, it's on. But not in the way you think, Laura. I couldn't believe it. I mean, seriously, what the hell was she thinking? Not only was Laura asking me for money, but she was doing it in the most manipulative, I'm so sweet you can't say no way possible. This wasn't the first time she'd tried to pull some crap like this. Oh no, she'd spent years fine-tuning her ability to screw me over with nothing but a smile and a pair of sad puppy eyes. But this felt like the last straw. As soon as she left the cafe, I just sat there, staring at my overpriced cup of coffee like it owed me an apology. I was pissed, sure, but mostly I was confused. How could she even think I'd fall for this again? How could she possibly think I'd hand over money for some lame startup idea that was probably just another way for Dave to avoid getting a real job? I had to stop myself from laughing right there in the middle of the cafe, but instead I just sat there, stewing in my own anger. This was it. Laura had just gone too far. But here's the thing. I wasn't just going to throw money at her. That'd be too easy, too predictable. That's what she wanted. A simple, here you go, take the cash, and let's pretend this never happened, kind of situation. Nah, I wasn't having any of that. I wasn't about to play into her little drama. I'd spent way too much time in this circus to let her think she could still control the show. So I came up with a plan. It wasn't some I'll ignore her for a while and let her stew type of plan. No, that was for amateurs. I wasn't about to sit there waiting for her to cry and beg. No, I was going to give her exactly what she asked for, but with a twist that would make her regret ever opening her damn mouth. I don't know if it was the rush of adrenaline or just the sweet taste of revenge, but I felt it. That little spark of pure genius. I'd been screwed over enough times to know how to turn the tables. If she wanted money for Dave's joke of a business, I was gonna give her money. But not like she expected. Oh no, I was about to give her a lesson in real consequences. And the best part? She'd never see it coming. I could already picture the look on her face when I hit her with the surprise. That moment when she realized she'd just walked into my trap. Because let me tell you, if there's one thing I know how to do, it's making sure people get exactly what they deserve. Especially when they think they can walk all over me. Laura was about to learn that the hard way. 2 weeks later, Laura called me to meet up at her place. She was practically giddy, thinking I'd caved and was ready to play the nice ex-husband card. She had no idea what was coming. I could practically hear her little mind racing, imagining me handing over a fat check to fund her new husband's fantasy business. Little did she know, I was about to ruin Dave's whole little entrepreneurial dream, like a tornado hitting a house made of toothpicks. I showed up at her apartment with a smug grin on my face, like I knew something she didn't. And trust me, I did. In my hand, I was holding a document that was going to make all her high hopes and dreams come crashing down. Got the money ready? She asked, practically bouncing in her chair, her eyes gleaming like she was about to be crowned queen of the world. Her excitement was almost cute if it weren't so damn delusional. I just looked at her and said, not exactly. I tossed the document onto the coffee table like it was nothing. But she knew, deep down, this wasn't just any regular paperwork. She leaned forward, her eyes immediately flickering to the paper, then back to me, her face already starting to falter. What's this? She asked, voice cracking a little, probably because she could already smell the trouble on the horizon. I let the silence hang in the air for a moment, just to let her stew in it. Then, with a grin that was way too smug for my own good, I hit her with it. This, I said, dragging out the word for maximum impact, is a full contract to fund Dave's business. It's a loan, with interest, and a few other conditions. I watched her eyes go wide, her smile fading, as she tried to figure out if she was hearing things correctly. You see, I said, leaning back like I was in charge of this whole circus, I've agreed to invest, but not in the way you think. Her face went from confused to terrified in less than a second. She reached for the paper, scanning through the fine print like she was looking for the exit sign in a haunted house. I'd made sure this contract was airtight, thanks to a lawyer I hired to make sure that if things went south, and they would, I'd be legally covered. And trust me, this thing was set to implode. As soon as she hit that fine print, I knew it was game over. Her face turned white, not pale, not just shocked, white like she'd seen a ghost. She couldn't even fake the smile anymore. It was like watching someone realize they'd stepped into quicksand, and now, no matter how hard they fought, they were going down. I leaned forward, casually twirling my pen between my fingers, enjoying every second of it. Yeah, Laura, that's right. You thought you were gonna get a free ride. But guess what? Now Dave's little startup is gonna cost him. Big time. And you're right there with him. She didn't say anything for a minute. Honestly, I think she was trying to find a way out of it. Too bad there wasn't one. I just sat back, letting her soak in the mess she'd gotten herself into. The whole thing was about to get way worse before it got better. If it ever got better at all. Laura was furious. You could literally see the gears turning in her head, trying to figure out how to flip this back on me, like she was gonna pull some magical guilt trip out of her back pocket. Spoiler alert, it wasn't gonna work. She'd already burned that bridge 1,000,000 times over. You're messing with us, Kyle. This is cruel, even for you, she snapped, her voice high-pitched, like I'd just kicked her puppy. I swear, it's like she thought I was supposed to feel bad for her. But honestly, I couldn't have cared less. This was the same girl who thought her smile could buy her anything, and right now, she was getting a huge dose of reality. I leaned back in my chair, stretching like I was in the middle of a victory lap. I wasn't even in a hurry to finish this. I was having way too much fun watching her lose it. Cruel? Nah, Laura, I said, giving her my best, "Are you serious?" look. I'm just making sure Dave's not taking me for a fool. You really think I'm gonna throw money at your little business project with zero strings attached? Please, get real. Her eyes were burning holes through me, and I could almost hear the steam coming out of her ears. She was pissed, and rightfully so, but I wasn't about to let her play me like she used to. Not anymore. You've always thought you could get away with whatever you wanted, right? You thought I'd just cave in, like some whipped puppy who's still in love with you. I continued, leaning forward and giving her the full, "I'm not your bitch" vibe. But guess what? I'm not that guy anymore. Not even close. I could see her face turning a shade of red that was probably reserved for tomatoes. She was boiling inside, and it was glorious. Her hands were shaking as she flicked through the contract again, probably looking for a loophole, but there was none. That ship had sailed. I wasn't just giving her a loan. This was a full-blown business transaction now, and she was stuck holding the bill. Do you even understand what you're getting into? She snapped, trying to sound like she had some upper hand left. But the cracks were showing. I could see her breaking, the confidence she walked in with evaporating faster than her marriage to Dave. Oh, I totally get it, Laura, I said with a smirk, leaning back and crossing my arms. You think this is gonna blow over, and I'll just forget about all the times you played me. But guess what? I'm not forgetting. And I'm sure as hell not bailing you out. Not this time. Her face twisted in a mix of anger and desperation. She was trying to keep it cool, but I could tell she was already running through every excuse in the book, trying to turn this around. But I wasn't buying it anymore. Not one bit. You know, I should have seen this coming, I added, letting the words sink in like a brick. But hey, at least now we're both learning that nothing in life is free, not even a favor from your old ex. Her mouth opened and closed like she was about to say something, but she knew she couldn't win this round. I had her, and I was gonna enjoy every second of it. A few days passed, and I heard from Dave for the first time. He left me a voicemail, full of threats and tough guy talk. "You think you can mess with me, Kyle? You have no idea who you're dealing with." I couldn't help but laugh. This guy didn't know the first thing about playing dirty. I wasn't just gonna back off because some wannabe entrepreneur threw a tantrum. I was ready to take this all the way. But things were getting more complicated. Laura was calling and texting nonstop, trying to twist the situation back in her favor. She even tried to guilt-trip me with some half-baked apology, but I wasn't buying it. If she thought I was going to bail them out just because she batted her eyelashes, she had another thing coming. I had my own agenda now. Things escalated quickly after that. Laura and Dave started spreading rumors, trying to convince people I was screwing them over. But the more they talked, the more it backfired. I didn't have to lift a finger. My lawyer was already sending them letters, reminding them of all the legal obligations they were about to break. Then came the real bombshell. I uncovered that Dave had been hiding assets and was already in debt up to his ears. He hadn't just been dishonest about the business. He'd been lying to everyone. He wasn't the brilliant businessman Laura thought he was. He was a scam artist, and I was going to make sure the whole world knew about it. I had everything I needed to bury him. In the end, I didn't just get my revenge, I got satisfaction. Laura and Dave tried to salvage their business, but it was already too late. Their little empire crumbled, and I made sure I was front and center when it did. Laura tried to come crawling back, offering me apologies and excuses, but I wasn't having any of it. I'd given her a lesson in real-life consequences, and trust me, it wasn't one she'd forget anytime soon. As for Dave, well, let's just say his business venture was officially done. I don't know what happened to him after that, and honestly, I don't care. But one thing's for sure. I didn't just give them a loan. I gave them a lesson. And they'll never ask me for a thing again.